Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Lamed Aleph Amid Beis. Okay, we're learning for a full shleim, for Nechama Basara. It's my science teacher, Leilenu. She's on 100% oxygen. COVID, yeah, a young woman, young woman. Within the last 2 weeks. So says the Mishnah, someone, you send an Eruv with the hands of Chereshait of a cotton. You want to set up an Eruv Tchumim, and you're sending a Chereshait of a cotton to be kind of Shvisa. Ain't an Eruv. They don't have the capability to be kind of Shvisa. They don't have they're not that intelligent. You need Das, Mechavein. They're not in the ballpark of going ahead and understanding what is supposed to be done. So therefore, if you send them to make an Eruv for you, it's not an Eruv. Mashma, even if they would put it in the place you tell them to put it, it's not an Eruv because they don't understand what they're doing. And for this shlichus, you need some type of das. It's not just ma'aser kaif ba'alma. It's not just like a monkey could take and get, you're transporting it from point A to point B. However, and misha oibiyad misha ain't a moed be'eruv. Let's say it's a kuti. It's not moed be'eruv because it's not stated openly in the Torah. They only do in Torah Shabbat P'sav. Ain't an eruv. It's not a good eruv. However, if you tell a bar das to receive the eruv from the chereshait of a cotton or the one that doesn't believe in it, then in that scenario, right, Harizah Eruv. That would be a good Eruv. So in other words, you're sending it, they're not making the Eruv, but some Shliach who's accepting it for him is making the Eruv. And we're going to get into the sugya this evening of whether Chazaka Shlichusay Oysa Shlichus or not. Can you assume that if you send a Shliach to do a Shlichus, it's going to be performed or not? Says the Mishnah, cotton loy, why not? Cotton goy vesa Eruv. You say a cotton can collect the Eruv, mashma that what? You can do it. Says Gemara, what are you talking about? It's a bichilik like kasha. Kan be'eruve tchumim, kan be'eruve chatzeros. The cotton to collect the Eruv. What are you doing? The cotton's collecting the Eruv and they're putting it in a person's house. That thus makes the house what? One big the chutzner for that one house. You don't need das for that. Cotton goiva. That's speaking about Eruv chatzeros. Here in our Mishnah, we're speaking about Eruv tchumim. You need das over here. Therefore, why it would not be accepted?
You can have a shliach on behalf of the guy, right? We have a Goshen neighbor, right? We kind of.
Yeah. Oibiyad misha einay moed be'erev, or the hands of someone's not moed be'erev. Amar Avchista kutoy. It's a kut. Kutim. They was resettled from the Shamron by Selcherev, and there was a shaila about their whether they were Geri Emes or Geri Arayas. They appear throughout Shas. This is obviously because they're not Geri Emes. They're not true Geri. If you say for someone else to be makabla from you, then it's a good erev. Fred the Gemara, perhaps you're sent, guys. The cotton is supposed to bring the shtei sudos to point A to a certain individual. How do you know he's going to bring it? No, it's when it gets to the individual, he has the das to go ahead and make the erev. But how do you know it's ever going to get there? In other words, we have a problem. We have a logistic problem. How do you know it's going to get there? If it got there, it would be okay. But how do you know it's going to get there? So logistically, you have a problem. Maybe you won't get to him. And for the Gemara, number of chis, like with chis, the answers in another Gemara, will apply that teretz here. When you see him, you watch him go, and you watch that he gave it to point A. He gave it to the guy. You saw him give it to the guy. However, if you do not see him give it to the guy in Achinami, you cannot be samech on that. Hachanami ba'omiv. So Chisda said it somewhere. Hachanami, that teretz that he gave in the other place, will apply over here. When in fact you saw the cotton give it over to the individual.
Is this working mitam shlichus? What is this working mitam what?
Yes, shlichus. Not the cotton. The person who receives it is your shliach to make it.
The Kabbalah.
He's the shliach. No. He's going to make you. He's the shliach to make your erev.
Make your erev. Okay.
In other words, the cotton just got the meal to him.
He's a kaif.
Meals. He's now going to take the 2 meals to the place where you want to be kind of shvisa and place it there. And he has it in zin, not a shliach kabbalah. No. Now says the Gemara. Anyone. Again, even by an elephant.
It's a ma'aser kaif.
Even by anyone. Again, they're just FedEx. That's all they are. They're a means of getting it from that point to the individual. The individual's going to do everything.
So the sugya from yesterday, if you would have wanted, the kohen could have made a shliach.
go into the base.
Well, even if he did, it wouldn't help because he has to be able to get to his Erev. Remember?
He can get to it through his shlichus.
No. He has to be kind of shvis. In other words, I'm setting you up, Nussi, to make the Erev. However, I have to be able to get to the Erev. And if I can't, it would not be good.
Rabbi's clearing, what's the Taish in Shliach?
No. There's two things over here. There's one that it's the okay, that's not a problem. But again, if you can't get to it, you can't make him a shliach. In other words, what can you do?
If your shliach can get to it, that's not you getting to it.
Correct. Because you're not a kohen, right? He is guy in the middle there. We're Mesupik, but Mistama he's the kohen. We have Mistama he's the kohen, right? So if he would give you an Erev to go ahead and put in a Besak forest, and you go there, according to the Chachamim, it would not be a good Erev. It's not a problem for you; it's a problem for him. So you can't be any better than him. So that says the Gemara. So it's speaking where you saw the cut and give it to him. Maybe good. You see, you give it to him, and maybe he won't take it from him. Maybe he won't do the shlichus. How do you know that the person you sent is going to go ahead and do a shlichus? And for the Gemara, Kedam Rabbi Yechiel, a big yisoid that appears throughout Shas, Chazaka shliach oiseh shlichusai. In other words, think about it, guys. How many times in your life have you depended upon an individual to do something for you? Trust me. Trust me, right? Especially if two individuals, one individual is a suffix, it's going to get done. Two individuals do the same thing, it's guaranteed it won't get done, right? Too many cooks spoil the broth, right? It doesn't work. So you expect that this guy is going to go ahead and bring it to point B where you can go ahead and be kind of shvisa. How can you be samech on that? How do you know he's going to do it? Says the Gemara, in the name of Rabbi Yechiel, Chazaka shliach oiseh shlichusai. A shliach is going to do the job. He's going to do what he's supposed to do, and therefore you can be samech that you were kind of shvisa, that you can be kind of move the stand. Yeah, move the stand. I want you to see you. Now you see me, but I'm cringing my neck. I'll go like this, and then I wonder why you have to share why I can't sleep. Anyway, so chazaka shlicha shlichus. Now this is going to be subject to a machlokes tanoim whether you can be samech on a shliach to do shlichus. In other words, throughout Shas we have the sugya of shlichus, and we nem on that it's done. How do you know?
Yeah, the point this guy is shliach prior to sending the cut.
Obviously.
This was a setup.
Obviously. Yes.
You can't just send the cut with a note. Find somebody.
No. So you among this guy shliach. Chazaka, loshen chazaka, shlicha shlichusay. And we'll get into this, guys. It's machlokes, guys. Hachanami chazaka shlicha shlichusay. Rabbi Yechiel says it somewhere. Here we'll apply it and say that you see the cut and give it to the individual that you appointed. You could be machzik that this guy's going to do the job, and you'll be kind of shvisa to the place where you told him to. Rabbi Yechiel. Where do we learn of Chista who said that you saw him give it over to him? And Rabbi Yechiel says Chazaka. Again, we said these were to some other places that we're applying over here. Where were these other places? Right? Aha Itmar, the Tanya. Nasnu lepil, you give your Erev to an elephant. V'ilichu, and he brings the Erev to whoever. L'koif, you give it to a monkey. V'ilichu, and he brings it to whoever. Ein ze Erev. That's not an Erev. In other words, let's say you didn't appoint a shliach, and the elephant goes to point A or point B, and puts it down, or gives it to a person, takes it and puts it down. You are not kind of shvisa. But you tell a person, take it off the elephant, take it off the kaif, and put it down. How is that Erev? The same question. But maybe the elephant or the kaif is not going to go ahead and get to the person. Here's that first time you give the teretz. You saw the elephant get to the person. You saw the kaif get to the person. And that's what we said previously. You saw the cotton, you saw the cherish get to the person. Fred the Gemara, the same question. Maybe the guy's going to say, I don't like elephants. I don't like monkeys, and I'm not going to go ahead and take it from him. No. So therefore, these two Yisaides go ahead and allow you to say that you kind of shvisa, and it works. Any questions? Great. Rav Nachman, Bishel Torah. When it comes to a din Torah, when it comes to a din daraisa, ein chazaka shliach oiseh shlichusai. Says Rashi, ein chazaka kloimar Lo yisamchinan achazaka ad chazinan da'avad. When it's a deraisa, with the last lines, Aaron, on Lamed Aleph on the base. Says Rav Nachman, when it comes to deraisa, despite the fact you told the guy to do something for you, we don't say chazaka, he does it, says Rashi, ad chazinan da'avad, until you mama see him do it. So in this scenario, Lo Rav Nachman, this scenario of Nachman, you would have, if you'd held Erev Techumen could be the Rabbanan, but if you held Erev Techumen with the Raisa, you wouldn't be a good Erev unless you saw the guy go ahead. He went and gave it to him, went and boom and did the job. When he did the job, that's Reb Nachman. But it says thing. But however, b'shal seifrim chazaka shtei chayshel chusay. When it comes to chazaka, when it comes to a din chazaka, then we'll say that what that. If it's a din derabbanan.
Can I ask a question on the wording in Rashi?
Excuse me?
Can I ask a question on the wording in Rashi?
Sure.
Sounds like period. That's it. What's the ad chazin and the avad? What, once we see that he did it, now we are going to be semech on the chazaka? We saw he did it. There's no chazaka anymore.
Once you see he did it, you don't have to be semech.
It's no chazaka anymore. So what's the ad chazin and the avad?
Oh, because the words of the Gemara is chazaka shliachas shluchusai.
Right.
So therefore, Rashi is telling you we're not semech on this chazaka. When it comes to the Raisa, we're not semech on the chazaka.
So what's he adding ad chazin and the avad?
Meaning you have to see a mamish do it. You can't be chazaka means I can be somech that it's going to be done even if I don't see it.
So just say no chazaka.
On that, you have to go ahead and see a mamish do it. It's the din deraisa. I send you to go ahead to buy me I don't know. Let's say buying a lulav is deraisa. Buying a lulav, right?
Yeah.
I go ahead. I send you to buy a lulav. I'm not muksik. Someone says to me, lazy, you got a lulav? I say, sure. I sent Chaim Klagsburn. You did nothing until you see Chaim Klagsburn buy that lulav. It says, I see you buy that lulav. The fact that you're a falesticha guy doesn't make a difference. That's what Rashi's telling you.
I hear, but okay.
We're going back there anyway.
You would add.
No, you really don't hear. You're saying you do hear, but you really don't hear.
I hear.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You're talking to me, Chaim. I've been doing this for 30 years. You don't hear. You're saying you hear because you want to go on, but you really don't hear. What? That's it, right. It's like Mendy. Remember what Mendy says? Mendy says, but. What does but mean? Mendy, what does but mean? Anyway, says the Gemara. So, Bishal Seifrim Chazak Shliach Shulchusay. If it's a din rabbanon, then we have a Chazak Shliach Shulchusay. If Rav Sheshes Amar Echad Zeh, whether it's the Raisa, the Echad Zeh, whether it's the rabbanon, Chazak Shliach Shulchusay, we have a Chazak that Shliach does the Shlichusay. If it's a din, whether it's the Raisa, the rabbanon, says Rav Sheshes, you make a Shliach, done. You make a shliach, done. It's a done deal. Now Rav Sheshes is going to be a right to himself. That what? Where do I know that? In very, very famous cases. Okay, guys. The din of Chodesh, the winter wheat is called Chodesh. You cannot eat the winter wheat until Tez Zayin in Nisan. What happens in Tez Zayin Nisan? They bring the carbon omer. After the bringing of the carbon omer, one is permitted to eat the winter wheat, which now we call Yashan. It goes from Chodesh to Yashan. At which point in time are you able to eat the wheat? Right? Says the Gemara by midday. Midday you can do it. Now, who's bringing the wheat? The Kahanim. Right? If you now, Midaraisa, if you tell me ein chazaka shlichusay chayim, you won't be able to eat the wheat until you see them mamish bring it. Chazaka that they do it, even if you don't see it, you'll be able to eat the wheat. That's what Rashi means. I don't know if it helps you a little better. So therefore, it's geschmack. As soon as Chatzos comes, you can eat. How do you know? You're in Sheboygan. How do you know that you could eat the Chadash? Chazaka that the Kahanim brought the Omer. So you see, you could be Saibach on the Shliach. The Kahanim are not in your Shlichus? They're not doing your Shlichus? They're doing shlichus. They're within the Raisa. They are the messengers of God. Whatever they are, you want to call it. We can be soimich that if they have a job to do, it's going to be done.
But that could be different than
okay, that could be different, and it will be different because of what the Gemara says, which you'll see. So hang in there. Have a frank.
I took a surrender. I took his plate.
Okay.
I thank you for 2 reasons.
There's a saying, just say no. Now, that says the Gemara. How do I know, guys? How do I know that man mishikar va'omer, when you, from the time they brought the omer, chut chadash, when they bring the omer, it's with the chadash. Miyad. V'harachaykim, who won't know. In Yerushalayim, you'll be able to see. But Mechaykim, those who are out of Yerushalayim, mutarim mechatzayis yom ve'elech. Aiva chadash deraisahu, eating the winter wheat chadash is deraisa. V'katani harachaykim mutarim mechatzayis yom ve'elech. Lav mishum chazaka shlichos shlichusai, that the Kohanim are going to do the job. So you have a raya. Says of Nachman, no, you don't have a raya. Hasam kedetani taima. If you say yoidim shein bezdin misatzlan boy, bezdin will not be misatzlan, allow the Kohanim to go ahead and procrastinate. Good. So in other words, in a regular shliach, says of Nachman, ein shlichusai shlichusai. Over here, you have something to guarantee he's going to do it. You have a bezdin that will make sure that they're not misatzel and procrastinate and make sure they bring it. Huh? They do it in the morning. They do it early. Before chatzais. Before chatzais, it says. After chatzais. Not the first thing in the morning. From chatzais and on, you see that they bought it right away. They bought it chatzais, at least from chatzais. Yeah.
Who's the Kohan's reasons? Why didn't you face them? Kohan's reason, we always say that they're ready to do.
Kohanim, so you want to say over here, why do you have to give teretz Kohanim's reason? Rather, I think it's maybe a better teretz. Bezdin is even like, Kohanim's reason you make it totally individual, right? I hear what you're saying. It could be, I hear that's maybe it's giving a better teretz. Maybe it's a better teretz. Oh, by the way, my son's question last night, the Gemara in Gittin, I looked it up, says they were going on the Avir, not only the offer, they were going on the Avir of Eretz Amim. Even the Avir of Eretz Amim is Asa. So therefore, you had to go on the Shiz at Teva Migdal. My son had asked last night that the goyim, they're not tummy. There's no too much oil by a goy. But I thought it was a gezerah. So the gezerah, they would goys I feel on the avir of. Anyway, says the Gemara Vayta. So therefore, you have no raya. Says of Nachman, you have no raya from Eimer, because the Eimer, in fact, you have Bezdin guarantees it. But maybe in a normal case, you wouldn't say that. Okay. Bezdin ad palga de yuma. Bezdin, they will make sure al palga de yuma, right? Shliach kuli yuma. In other words, what is Bezdin going to do? Bezdin will make sure, guys, by the Omer, they'll make sure it's brought by half time. Right? They'll be sure it's brought by half time. But a regular shliach, he'll do it the whole day, but he'll do it. How is Rav Sheshes answering the taina of Rav Nachman? Guys, outside. Machloikis says Rav Sheshes, shliach da shlichusay. Says Rav Nachman, shliach. No, he doesn't. Fred Rav Sheshes, I got a raya from Omer that you do. And for Rav Nachman, you don't have no raya by Omer. Why? By Omer, it's Bezdin. So what does Rav Sheshes do with Bezdin? Bezdin will make sure it's done by what? By half day. A shliach will make sure it's done by the end of the day. But he'll make sure it's done, and that's all I have to prove. That a shliach will do it shlichusay. So he won't do it as early as what? As Bezdin will make sure. But he'll do it. Says the Gemara Vayta. Amr of Sheshes, another raya that shlichus oiser shlichusay, the Tanya. Okay, outside. Guys, there are people who have tumah that emanates from their bodies. A nida, a yoledes, a mitzayra, a zav. These are all the most severe tumahs, a tumah that exude, that come from the body. Some of them have to, if they're tummy enough, they have to bring a korban. And in the process of Taira, they first have to go to the mikvah. Then they have to have Herav Shemesh, which will make them a full yoim. And in addition, they have to bring a korban. And if they don't bring a korban, they can't eat kachim. These are called in the trade, mechusa kippurim. They're mechusa, they're missing their kapara. So here we're dealing with missing the kapara. Now, what would the kapara be for your ledes? They bring two birds. One is an oila and one is a chatas. They wouldn't bring the birds. They would bring money. The money would then go into one of 13 pushkas that they had in the Beis HaMikdash that said on it birds. No, it's preidos. It said preidos. They would put it on that. At the end of the day, they could eat kachim. Why? Because the Kahanim will for sure bring their karbonis, their kapara. So you have a raya that what? Shliach Eisa Shulchusai. The Kohen is their shliach to bring their carbon, and in that scenario, they're able to eat kachim on the smach chazaka shliach Eisa Shulchusai. So I have a raya. Now, what does Rav Nachman do with that? We'll see. So let's see it inside. It says the Maram Sheish. No, I mean Allah Tanya. Ha'isha sheyesh la leida. A woman has to bring a carbon leida. She gave birth. Or she was a ziva. She was a zava, and she has to bring a carbon. Maybe a moish. She brings money. The noisem b'shayfa. She puts it in the pushka in the base of Mikdash. V'taydala. She goes to the mikvah v'yichelis b'kachim le'erev. And in the evening she can eat kachim. My time, alav mishum namin and chazaka shliach shlichusoi. That the kakanim did their shlichus and they went ahead and they brought the kabbanis. Rav Nachman. Chasam kirev shmaya. Dam Rav Shmaya. Chazaka ein bezin shel kahanim oimdim misham. A regular shliach, maybe not. But guess what? There was a bezdin appointed to make sure that shofar was emptied out every day and the kabbanis were bought.
This is their job in the base midrash, to establish lichus.
But
this is the base midrash. Their job was every day to do certain things.
Again, who says you have to bring it this day?
Maybe they push it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Every day is part of the routine of the day. Every day.
Again, who says that they have to bring it today? Who state us?
I understand.
But no. If you understand, then you understand what I'm telling you.
Because it was in the pushkin there. If it was in the pushkin there, and it was done that day.
Why was it done that day?
Because part of the process is the
No. The chazak. The process is that the kohen does the shlichus. It's not you're describing what you call the process. We call chazak. No, they don't have to do it. Again, it's what are you talking about?
Because the Gehanim job.
What? That's your assumption, your perception. Right? Who has to say? Who says it that day? They can do it anytime. They can do it anytime. Your question is based upon your presumption. You're learning, right? You have to bring something to the table. It's based on a presumption that what makes sure it's done because best. This is Rav Nachman's taina. But again, you know what you're doing. She's eating kachim. You're not allowed to eat kachim if you're tamei. If you're tamei, you're chayiv misa for eating kachim. She's eating kachim based upon I'm putting my life in your hands that you're going to do the job. None of say there was a process. They did the job because that's their job because they're supposed to do it. But it's the shlichus. The process is called shlichus. Good. I'm Rav Sheshis. Okay, so now the Tanya. Now, failing now because we have a bezdin of kahanim, we're going to come to another way. This isn't very involved. Okay, guys. For this, the idea is the following: when you go ahead and eat in the field, you don't have to take off ma'isa. It's called an achilas aroy. Ayin reish aleph. You're at aroy. You're mikra. Once you cover your kaveya suda, you have to take off ma'isa. Good. By Amoretz, we have to take off Maisa because they're not trusted to take off Maisa, and that's called the Mai. With that idea, let's begin the Gemara. Rav Sheshis, how do I know that a shliach chazaka shlicha shlichusai? How do I know chazaka shliach oisa shlichusai? How do I know that? Says the Gemara the following: the Tanya. Someone says to his friend, "Say v'lokat l'chot te'enim mitenasi." Go ahead, and you should take figs from my tree. Now, when he says go take figs, he's not giving them a set amount. He's just saying go take figs. Go ahead, go take figs. He can go ahead. If he's eating a sudas aroy, he eats them without taking off meiser. Umeiserim vadai. And if he eats keva, he can be assured that no meiser was taken off. No suffix. He can be assured no meiser was taken off. Why? Because since he didn't tell him an amount, the balabas doesn't know how much to take off. Since he didn't tell him how much to eat. Conversely, he says, go ahead and eat from this basket. And he knows how much is in the basket. So go ahead and eat from this basket, figs, go ahead and eat that. Then oichem hemaroy, again, that's the same din, no change. However, uma'asrin demai, and you're going to go ahead and take it off al safek, because you're not sure if he took it off or not. Since he's giving you a basket, an amount, right? Ken Zain he took off because he knows how much to separate. Or no, maybe he did. So therefore, al safek, you'll have to go ahead. Once you sit down, kaiveya to eat, you kaiveya the suda, you have to take off. Okay, That's the difference between stamazai taking from the tree and taking from a basket. Says, qualifies the Gemara, that you have to take off the mai, that's speaking the Ama Oretz, that the Noisein was an Ama Oretz. In other words, if the Noisein was an Ama Oretz, who you don't know if he took off Trumas and Maisa, Maisa, not Truma, Maisa, you're going to have to go ahead and take off Maisa. Yankel Ama Oretz, he goes ahead and tells Nussi, go ahead, and there's a basket, 10 quarts, eat. Nussi goes, takes 10 quarts. Yankel Ama Oretz, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Aroy, eat. Otherwise, demai. Aval bechaver, if it was Yankel Talmud Chacham who told Nussi go eat, Oichel, Nussi eats bekeva, the ain't tzarich la'aser, the Rabbi. He doesn't have to take off Maisa. You know for sure, if he's a chaver, so you know for sure that he took off Maisa. So from the 10 quarts. That's Rabbi. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Leimer. Oh, let's see. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Leimer. When do you say that you have to take off the mai? When do you say you have to take off the mai? But Ama Oretz. Avol B'chover. If it was Yankel Talmud Chacham who gave to Nussi, Ein Oichel Ad She'aser. Nussi can't eat the opposite until he vade takes off Maisa. Why? We got two sides over here, fellas. Look up. We got two sides over here. On one hand, chaverim, what they usually do, chaverim means, a Talmud Chacham person, what they will take off, we had the sugya, they'll take off min amukaf. They'll take off, we had it yesterday. You have Meiser over here, you have a tevel over here, and you're going to separate the Trumas and Meiser right over here. You're not going to say, oh, I got a warehouse in South Street. I'm going to take off Trumas and Meiser over here. You're going to take off min amukaf, and one's next to the other. Good? This is a scenario where he's telling a guy, go to the field, eat from the basket, 10-quart basket, and 1 second, where's the Trumas and Meiser going to be taken off? Al Korchach, not at the site. Because he gave it to you to eat. You're not taking off the Trumas and Meiser. Balabas taking off the Trumas and Meiser, right? Says Rabbi, there's no way in the world, if I go ahead and send Nussi to eat from a basket, that he has to take off Meiser. For sure, I'm not going to allow Tevel to exist in the wild. If I don't take off Meiser and you're Keva, that's called Tevel. That's called Misa B'dei Shemayim. That's setting him up. Guys, you hear I'm setting him up. That's called Misa B'dei Shemayim. Tevel has Truma mixed in. You're set up. I'm not going to, says Rebbe, I'm not going to let that happen. A Chava will never let that happen. He's going ahead and being Toirim Shalom in Amukif. The Talmud Chacham is going to separate from someplace else. Machnish Tois, it's the lesser of two evils. I'd rather go ahead and be a Toirim in Amukif than what? And set a guy up by letting Tevel be out there. Says Rav Shimon Gamliel, Rebbe's father. It's Rebbe's father, by the way. Rav Shimon Gamliel is Rebbe's father. Rav Shimon said, no, Talmud Chacham, he's not going to separate that. He's not going to separate. Forget about lesser of two evils. He still holds that. So that's the machloikus over here. Machloikus is, when it's aroy, you could eat, no problem. When it's keva, machloikus. Says Rebbe, when it's keva, you don't have to take off because you know for sure the chaver took off. He's not going to set you up. You know for sure that he didn't take off because you know for sure that he didn't take min amukif, and you'll take it off, so you're not set up. Good? Okay. So we have, it's funny, machlokes two psychological kind of, which one outweighs the other. Which one outweighs the other? Okay, let's see what we got. Says the Gemara, very good shmak. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Leimer, the Medem Amurim ba'Amoretz, Aval b'Chavrin Oichlat She'asel if Yishlei Nechshedu Chaverim Lishem Shlei Min Amukif. Amar Rabbi, Nirim Devarim Midivrei Abba. My words are better than Daddy's. My words are better than Daddy's. My words to not let Tevel go out there is better than what having Tevel that Shlei Min Amukif. Why? Motiv Sheyechshedu Chaverim Lishem Shlei Min Amukif Lo Yochlu Ha'Hayaris Tefalin. Good. I mean, we hear Rabbi better also, right? We hear. It's the lesser of two evils. One Tevel is a shveret dikazach. Shloim and Amukif. We're saying what's the big spritz, right? Could be the Raisa, by the way. Could be Tamim Amuk could be deraisa. It is a big spitz.
And then the svara goes out.
Not really, because it's not Misa B'dei Shemayim. In other words, Tevel's Misa B'dei Shemayim. It's not, yeah, it's not. So now, Ad Kan like pligi. Now, guys, where's the raya to Rav Sheshes, right? Again, we have to let's go back. Let's get back on track. We're trying to bring the raya that Chazaka Shtei Chesed Chuslei. Ad Kan like pligi ela demasava nechshu umasava nechshu. Whether the chayshif and Torah in a regular scenario, if you sent a shliach to go ahead and be Torah, it would be good, right? The machlokes between the two is whether he'll do it or not, because whether it's mukaf or not. But if loymin or mukaf wasn't a problem, you could be sure he would take it off. The chaver certainly, in other words, if it wasn't a problem, I'd certainly take it off. So you see a raya that what? Shliach chayshif shluchusay. Rav Nachman Hasam kid Rav Chanina Chazai. Dear like Rav Chanina Chazai. Don't Rav Chanina Chazai. Chazakahu al Chaver she'ena mitzi dava she'ena mitukim mitachas yadai. The reason over there, right? The reason over Rabbi says is Tevel is such a shverazach. Is such a shverazach that if he tells you to go eat from it, you can be assured it's up to shape. You can be assured in that scenario it's up to shape. As soon as he has a chance, we're going to have Gemara in Pesachim. As soon as he has a chance, he's not going to, even if he's dead, if he had a crop and the Gemara in Pesachim says, and he died later that day, you could be assured he took it off. Chazaka that what? He won't let it go underneath his hand, even though he's dead. In other words, it's like, you wake up in the morning, say Modani. He goes ahead, he harvests his crop, that's the first thing he does. So therefore, you can't bring me a raya from there. Amamar, going back over the Brisa, Amamar, B'medav Mamurim, Aaron, Amamar, you're my Amamar guy, right? Got it. Amamar, B'medav Mamurim, B'ama Oretz. When do we say that you have to take off of Maisa al Safik from Am Oretz? Avol b'chover oichel v'einet tzarich la'aseh divrei Rabbi. If the guy who gave it to you was a chover, Talmud Chacham, eat gesund tahayit. You don't have to worry about anything. Says the Gemara, Hay Am Oretz to Amalei Laman. Okay, in the case of Rabbi, guys, we said that Am Oretz is speaking to somebody, correct? And we said when he's speaking to somebody, he's going to take it off. Good. So who did he send? I'm the Am Oretz. Who did I send? Did I speak to a chaver or I speak to an Am Oretz? Guys, so listen, this is the case. I'm an Am Oretz, and I say, go eat from my 10-quart container of figs. Says Rabbi, the halacha is that if you eat keva, right, if he's an Am Oretz, you have to take off the mai. Now, if I was speaking to another Am Oretz, he's not going to listen to me. He's an Am Oretz. There's a reason you have to separate in the first place, right? So it has to be that I was speaking to a chaver. It has to be the guy I sent to eat. It had to be a chaver. Because if he was Am Oretz, he's not taking off. The Am Oretz creates the mai. So what are you going to tell me? In a case where the guy's an Am Oretz and he tells another Am Oretz to bekeva to take it, separate the mai, he's like Am Oretz. He's not going to take it off. No. They know the halachas. They don't take it off. They don't take it off. They hold. They made a gezerah. They took it away from. They didn't take it off. They were makel in it. They were makel. Truma they took off. Which truma was mixed b'dei shemayim.
Other people's money. It's very easy to take off.
Not if I'm Haaretz. You're eating it. Why should I take it off? I don't believe in the first place.
It relies on the K on the package. You know what I mean?
The OC. Now, says the Gemara. So who's he speaking to? Hi, Am Haaretz the Amalei Laman. Ilay the Kamal Am Haaretz Chavrei. He says to the Am Chavrei, go ahead and take off my rice in the my tzaytzei. He's not going to take it off. Ella must be by Am Haaretz the Kamal Chaver. It must be the Am Haaretz told a Talmud Chacham, go to eat go eat gesund tahayit from 10 quarts. And if it's an Am Haaretz and the Talmud Chacham is eating a sudas keva, he's going to have to go ahead and separate vadai. That's what Rabbi said. Not vadai, suffix. Amos Sefer. Let's now, from Rebbe's conversation, let's see what Rebbe said. In other words, guys, we've ascertained from the words of Rebbe, it must be the Am Haaretz is speaking to a chava, correct? Because if he's speaking to another Am Haaretz, there's no beginning of the Mai over here. Ella Amos Sefer, near in divrei midivrei Abba. My words are better than Daddy's words. Mutav sheyachshu chaverim litram shleimin amukif. Vel yochel Am Haaretz tefilin. Am Aretz, my boy, Hasim. 1 second. Where's there an Am Aretz? Better. My words are better. Why? Why? Better what? Better to take off Shloim and Amukaf than have an Am Aretz eat it. But the guy's eating, it's a chava. He's not Am Aretz. Guys, Rebbe's statement is size to each other. Al Karchuk, you have to say, when Rebbe was speaking, he was speaking from one Am Aretz to another Am Aretz. Then Rebbe comments, by the way, my words are better than my father's words. Better for me to do something wrong than feed an Am Aretz tevel. There is no Am Aretz. There's no Am Aretz, guys. He's a chava. So it's a stira minei ubei, the words of Rebbe, from the inferences. Gemara is beautiful, right? It's geschmack. Think about this. You know, they wonder why did kids go to law school. They get right in. This is the Mishkan Geisha cup. They think this way. It's amazing. Anyway, there is. Mutiv shiyasu kaveim l'shram shleim and amukif. Yochlu l'amaretz tefeilin amaretz my boy Hassam. What's the amaretz doing there? So Amar Ravina, the Reisha of the Brisa is Bam Aretz Sham L'Chaver, as we said. Bam Aretz gave it to the Chaver takes it off, Al Swad, Al Safek. And the Sefer, the case of Rebbe's words, the Sefer, where he said, my words are better, it's speaking B'Chaver Shama Ala Am Aretz, B'Chaver Acha Shamai. The Chaver Taka said it to the guy who told Am Aretz to eat, go eat. And what? And he's going to take it off. The Shamu Acha, another Chaver heard, and Rebbe Savar, Oisa Chava Oichel, that Chava can eat. Vein Tzarch La'aser, right? The Vadai Iser Maisa, why? Vadai was taken off Chumas and Maisa. Hahu Chava Kama Alabei. So, says a Chava to an Am Aretz, go ahead and eat 10 quarts. Another guy hears, a Chava hears, and he says what? He says, go eat 10 quarts. So he hears, and what does he do? He eats, and he can eat gesundheit. He doesn't have to worry at all. Why? Because since he gave it to Am Aretz, the Chav is eating. So therefore, he doesn't have to worry because he knows the original guy took it off. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, no, he's got to take off Maisa. Because the original guy did not going to take it off. The lesser of two evils. We did this with Gemara already. What's the first time? Rabbi Savar, hu isura klilo. Let him do a slight. He's doing something wrong. He's being tired of shleimim l'lukif. But we're calling that kalila. We're saying it's not such a bad thing. Better that. By eating what? Tevel. Rabbi Shimon says no. Again, it's hard to understand Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. I guess he's looking at the individual of the here and the now. In other words, if I'm tired of shaloim in a muk, if I'm bad doing an avera, bad right now I'm doing something wrong. Whether there'll be an avera in the future, maybe, but not now. So therefore, so better take off shaloim in a mukif, then go and then just on the smach that maybe something will go wrong. Says Rabbi, the smach that maybe something wrong is so severe. Better be over to shtick a little this. It's interesting because you can hear both studim, right? You can hear both studim. One's the here and now, one's future. Here and now, do something wrong to go ahead and save someone from maybe a Mosvir Avera, or rather, no, right now, don't do anything wrong. What's going to happen? Okay, you can hear both studim.
Deadly suffering is worse than the cover is not necessarily being a cover. It depends where you look at it.
Well, yeah, a chaver, you say. Okay, now the next we've ascertained that there's something called an Erev Tchumim. We've ascertained that the Erev Tchumim is to extend our Tchum. We discussed the foods that you could put in the tree. We discussed the food that you could put in the tree, right? We discussed all that food. Why do I say trees? Because the next mission, I mean, in the base of forest, okay, wherever you're putting it wherever you're putting it, right? And now we're going to get to the nitty gritty. Now let's just go over a few things. First of all, a little hakdam over here. At which point in time are you koina shvisa? At which point in time of the day? bein hashmashas. The Erev is chal bein hashmashas. Right as twilight, when it goes the suffix day, suffix night, that's when you koine shvisa. It's a suffix whether it's Shabbos or not. At that time, if you do an Issa Shvus, you're okay. Shvus bein hashmasas, they were not goyza. The Chacham were goyza the Rabbanon on Shabbos itself. The Rabbanon were not goyzer or Shvus. The Machlokes, they weren't goyzer Shvus bein hashmasas. So, if it's a suffix of I'm doing something wrong bein hashmasas rabbinically, it would be okay. You'll see applications. A second thing that's important to know is that Erev Tchum is for Devar Mitzvah. We make an Erev Tchum to allow you to do a mitzvah. We don't make you an Erev Tchum to go socialize in a bungalow colony down the road because your wife wants to go ahead and speak to a friend. No. It goes because there's a simcha going on, there's a Sudas Mitzvah going on, there's a reason for you to go there. So the reason why Erev Tchum is to extend our Tchum in order to perform a mitzvah. So two aktamis. One, bein hashmashas, no problem. Two, that you have to, the purpose is for the bar mitzvah.
Just a quick question. It said Rashi gave an example of chasana or yichum avela.
Right. Beis HaMishta, right. Beis HaMishta, yichum avela, right. Right.
What yichum avela?
Again, yichum avela is. Now,
Can't you do any mitzvah then? You can do is walk
again, but let's say you're walking for serious on a mitzvah. The only way to get to do a mitzvah at a certain point. Now, you and your Erev have to be in the same rishus. You can't be in one shus and your Erev is another rishus. Good? You can't be in one shus and Erev is another shus. Now, let's go back to Hilchas Shabbos and Haitzah. You're going to remember this. Don't get uptight. I'm sorry if you remember this. We said there are 4 Rishuyas Linyan Shabbos, right? Rishus Yachid, Rishus Rabim, Carmelis, and Malkam Pator. Great. Lots of Rishus Yachid. Don't tell me private property. I'll throw you out of share. Lots of Rishus Yachid. Shut up. Right. Steve, you'll delete that, okay? A Rishus Yachid, again, is private property. It's a property that's fenced in, or it's an area that's 10 by 4. 10 by 4. And once you go 10 by 4, it's Oil Rakia. A Rishus Harabim above 10, Rishus Harabim only extends to 10. Remember, we had the Zarak throwing, it only extends to 10. Right? Now, if something is less than 10 and 4, it's called a Carmelis. 10 by 4 is Rishus HaYachid. Less than 10, 9 and 3, 9 or 9 and 4, or 10 and 3, that'll be a Carmelis. Okay, with that in mind, let's begin. Says the Gemara. Nasna bi'ilan, you put your Erev in a tree. L'mayla me'asara tfachim. It's above asara tfachim. Ein eruva Erev. It's not a good Erev. We're going to see. You can't get to it. Ein eruva Erev, and it has to be in the same spot. L'mata me'asara. If you put the Erev below 10, l'mata me'asara tfachim. Eruva Erev. Nasli bebar. If you put it in a bar, afilu omek meya, even it's meya tfachim deep. Or meya ama. Excuse me. Afilu omek meya ama. Eruva Erev. It's a good Erev. Rashi tells us on everything Mefarish B'Gemara, so meaning at this point in time, it's 9 o'clock. According to Rashi, it's 9 o'clock. Rashi's telling us 9 o'clock. Mefarish, let's go weiter. Okay, now Yosef Rav Chia Barabba, Rav Asi, the Rabbi Bar Nosson. You have the 3 Gedali Amaroyim, Rav Chia Barabba, Rav Asi, the Rabbi Bar Nosson, the Yosef Rav Nachman Gabayim, and Rav Nachman was sitting there. The Yasbi v'Komar, and they sat and they said, Hi Elon Dekoi Hecha. This Mishnah, we had a tree. You're telling me above 10 is no good. You're telling me below 10 is good. Right? Where exactly was this tree situated? Elaim Dekoi Rishus HaYachid. If it's sitting in a Rishus HaYachid, Mali Lamaila, Mali Lamata. Rishus HaYachid Oila Adla Rakia. If it's situated in Rishus HaYachid, who cares if it's above or below? Rishus HaYachid goes to Adla Rakia. It continues up. So therefore, it should make a difference. And our Mishnah says it doesn't work. The Ella Dekoi Rishus Harabim. It must be this tree is in Rishus Harabim. So now let's get it straight. The tree is in Rishus Harabim. If it's above 10 tefachim, it's no good. If it's below 10 tefachim, it is good. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. Above 10 tefachim, what do we call it? Rishus Yachid. Where's the tree situated in? Rishus Rabim. You can't get to Eruv.
It's different Rishus.
You can't get to Eruv, right? What happens if it's below 10? What's it called? Carmelis. Can you go from a Carmelis to Rishus Rabim? The Rabban or the Raisa? The Rabbanan. When are you kind of Shvisa? When are you kind of Shvisa? What time, guys? What's the halacha, Rabban and Ishmashis? By George, you got it. Right? When you kind of Shvisa when? Ben Ishmashis. And the Carmelis is the Rabbanan. So therefore, if it's Pashtus, if it's above 10, I got a Hitzah problem. Because I'm going from Rishus Rabim to Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabim. Below 10, it's a Carmelis. If it's a Carmelist, it's asa to go the Rabbanon from a Carmelist to Rishus Rabim. However, the Erev is going to be Shamat Ben Hashmashas. This is the Rabbanon. So therefore, it should work. Let's see if it's true what I just told you. It sounds too good not to be true, right? It must be true. Says the Gemara. So where it must be what? It's in Rishus. It must be Rishus Rabim. Avela the Kar Rishus Rabim. The Miskavin Lishvais Heicha. Where were you Mechavin to go ahead and put your Erev? You want to be Shvitza above 10. Who? Him and his Erev are going to be what? In the same place. Him and his Erev are going to be Elam in this above 10. Then who ve'eruvoy b'makam echad? Let's see Rashi. Even this gavin likna shvisa say ala elon who ve'eruvoy b'makam echad. Fafilu l'mayla meyude eruvoy erev. Even above 10. In other words, if your kavana was to be kind of shvisa above 10, so you have nothing to do with Rishus Rabim. Above 10 continues up. So where did you want to be kind of? Above 10. So regardless of the fact that the trees are Rishus Rabim, that has nothing to do with where I want to be. I want to be above 10. So what's our rule of thumb? Who b'makam echad, and the Erev has to be in the same spot. So who and Erev are both in the same spot is Geshmak. Ella must be niskaven lishbais lamata. So his kavana was below. Says Rashi. El niskaven lishbais lamata tirutzahu. It's a teretz. Iltach l'mayla me'asara ein eruva Erev. Why? His kavana where he wanted to be was below, and that's his makam where the Erev should be, but it's not. The kivin the avi boy lemishkal eruvay. Since we wanted to take his Erev from above 10, umichle b'shasha Erev zaychaloi hainu ben hashmashis leimatzi shakol the ma'asim rishus hayachil rishus harabim. That's the deraisa leihavi eruvay because eruvay Erev. Ukigain the Elon Rochiv Dalid Vahavi Lamayla Miyud Dibay which is Ayachid Lamat Miyud Beruvay Ruvay. Isn't that guys? So if it's going to be you want to be kind of shvitza at this point of the tree below 10. The Erev is over here. The shvitza is going to be kind of enashmasas, right? To get it over here, you're going to have to take it from here enashmasas. You can't do that. It's the raisa. Going from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Rabim. You can't do that. Okay. So therefore, continues Rashi. The whole gimel test beroichiv daled karmasi kidamron b'yitzir Shabbos. The kamaislim karmas l'rishus harabim. Hamukil Rebbe. We're going to zetzen like Rebbe. Domar called babashum mishum shvus like gazu olam ben hashmashos. So therefore, it would work. So Geshmak tells Rashi. It's speaking about a tree that's situated in a rishus harabim. In addition, you wanted to be kind of shvisa below 10. Below 10. The only problem is that it's a Carmelis. Carmelis is a din Rabbanon. The Erev works bein hashmashos. Like Rebbe, anything that's us and mishum shvus, that's us the Rabbanon, bein hashmashos would work. Let's see Rashi. Let's see the Gemara. Ella neskaven lishus lamata v'hakam mishtamis freg Gemara v'mishtamish be'ilan. Another is the Rabbanon using a tree. So oyum the kaiber shus harabim v'neskaven lishus lamata. Rebbe he the Amar kol davashu mishum shvus like gazu v'la bein hashmashos. Amru Rav Nachman Yishar. Rav Nachman woke up, or he was just sitting there, and he told Rav Chia bar Rabba, Rav Asi, and Rav Manasan, "Great, what you're saying is great. That's pshat in the Mishnah. V'chein amar Shmuel, and that's exactly what Shmuel said. That's what Shmuel said. Shmuel said that's great. So Amalei told him, "Pasrisu b'kuli hai." Like you agree with us so much. Inunami hachi kapasri bay. That's why we also explained it that way. Elachi Amalei kfi asalei b'gemara. you convey this as part of the Gemara. Not that he wrote the Gemara, but you convey this word as the dialogue of the Gemara. Samalu in. So Itman Ami Rav Nachman Shmuel. Guys, listen to this. So listen to it now. He's going to tell you verbatim what we ascertained. We're going to learn verbatim. That's great. It's number 10. Says Gemara. Amar Shmuel. Hachbilam Mishus Arab Maskinan. Gevoya Asara. V'rochiv Arba. It's high 10 and it's 4 wide. Right? That's called the Rishus HaYachid. V'niskav l'shvais where lemata for Rabbi he the Omar called Davish Mikshuk Shvus like Gazulav Ben Hashmashais. So very geschmack. So let's go back to the Mishnah now. Nasnu be Elon le'mayla nasnu le'ila le'mayla me'asar tfachim. If you put it in an Elon. L'mayla me'asar tfachim, ein eruvay erev. When you're miskavin that your shvisa should be below, then ein eruvay erev. Why? Because there's haitzah going from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. That's haitzah. Bein hashmashais gezeira deraisa doesn't work. However, lemata, I want to be kind of lemata. Lemata is a carmelist. It's also to go from a carmelist to Rishus HaRabim, but since it's been hashmashais, and according to Rabbi, b'shvusna. Guys, tomorrow 4 o'clock. We're moving it off 4:30. Tomorrow 4 o'clock.